Different's great, but being different for the sake of being different, I'm not a big fan of, right? If you just want to be different for the sake of
technology, increased, I would hide behind it.
And you start to hear some of their challenges, and yes,
because it speaks to the core of who you are and what drives you forward. Because what makes you different is what drives you.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Master Connector Show. I'm your co-host, Rob Genovesi, and I want to thank you for joining us live this week as we go live every single Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time on LinkedIn, on YouTube. And if you can't catch it live, catch the replay. It'll come out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and other places as well. But we do want you to join us live. Why? Because this is participation time. We want you to be able to connect with our guests, connect with us, connect with other people in the audience, people who you may need in your network to help up-level your network to create not just relationships, but connectivity with people so that you can become more successful in what you're doing. And listen, if you can't make it every week, we get it. You're busy. We're all busy. But go to masterconnector.show and we can give you the roster of people who are coming up. Amazing guests that Steve brings to our show. People can help you close the knowledge gaps that you have so that you become more successful, do more things, do bigger things, whatever you're looking to do. Somebody in that roster, bookmark your calendar so you don't miss them. Masterconnector.show, where you can find out who you need to hear from, but also if you want to sponsor an episode, you can hit the sponsor link there. Sponsor an episode, get the name of your business out there so we can help you grow and connect with other people. And look, Steve and I go way back, 27 years, two shy guys, two introverts. We're no longer shy, clearly, because we're running a weekly live show together. We can talk to anybody, anywhere, anytime, and connect with the right people because we learned how to do it. And we want to teach you how to do it. And we want to bring you amazing guests who are going to share their experiences, their stories to help you level up. So listen, help me bring him on. We're all the connectors, but he is the master connector, Mr. Steve Spiro. What's up, Steve?
What's up, Robbie G? Good to be with you. Excited to be on another round of the Master Connector Show, episode 225. Man, we are rocking and rolling. It's crazy, but appreciate you big time. And what you bring to the table here, which is amazing. So what's going on, everyone? Steve Spiro, the Master Connector, coming at you live and direct. And, listen, I have a question. What if the moments you thought were endings were actually the beginning of something greater? I'll tell you what, I've had quite a few restarts in my life. There's been all sorts of challenges, all sorts of struggles. And you know what? I learned that every adversity lies a seed of equal or greater benefit. It's those things that happen, those challenges. I know I'm speaking about this on stage, because a big part of what I speak about, one of the pillars is overcoming obstacles, having that grit, and it's a big part of our show as well. And it's gonna be fun to talk about that today. But things that have happened to me, right? Like in having an illustrious advertising marketing career, rocking and rolling in that industry, economy tanks, boom. Now I'm out, and of all things, I go into hardcore door-to-door sales and, selling copiers at the time. And, what a crazy transformation. But you know what? That led to incredible experience in learning how to do well in business development. I had dabbled in that earlier on in my career in the advertising and marketing world. I had my first company out of college. That was another one, right? You get out of college, what's supposed to happen? You're supposed to get a job. Well, I couldn't get a job, so start a company. And, I've learned that, yes, we get thrown obstacles, we get thrown challenges, but, it's not what happens to you. It's how you react to it. And what are you going to do with it? And, I spoke about this in some of the upcoming posts that I did, but, a lot of times, when we think about starting over, people think about like changing careers completely. And that could be the case, but sometimes it's just starting fresh. Every day we wake up, it's a new day. You could start fresh from a new perspective and maybe have a different angle on things and not necessarily be stuck in the same rut, whatever the word is, right? I learned that the difference between a rut and a grave is the dirt in your face, right? It's And so, sometimes we want to just get up and just do something different, right? And again, it doesn't have to be completely changing. I'm a big believer, if you don't quit, you win. But sometimes you have to evolve. And sometimes you don't have a choice. Things, maybe like when COVID hit, there was a lot of challenges. People had issues, and the ones that start selling masks, logoed masked, and other personal. And there's an acronym to it. I forget what it is, but where they the personal safety items, right? Things like that. They made money during a time where a lot of people were hurting, right? So it's just how you react to it. It's not what's happening to you. And I may have shared a little bit of that. I have a spiritual background, and a lot of times we have challenges, we have problems, and we go like, oh God, what a big problem. And I heard it said, instead of that, hey, oh problem, I have a big God. Again, I'm not pushing my faith on you, but I believe that there's a higher power. And if you latch on and lean in to a higher power, it can help you get through those struggles and challenges. And I believe that we're not alone. Ultimately, we have that higher power, universe, God, whatever you want to call that entity for you. But anyway, it's gonna be a great show. Excited. So if you're ready to have my man Robbie G bring our guest to the stage, just type in "let's go." And Robbie G, I'll pass it to you.
All right, let's go. Lola Gazivoda is a founder and CEO of Boda Consulting Group, an offshore recruiting and management firm that connects U.S. businesses with top talent from Albania. With nearly 20 years in banking, she rose to senior vice president roles at JP Morgan Chase, Capital One, and M&T Bank, leading high-performing teams and earning awards for excellence in financial consulting, revenue growth, and relationship management. A former loan portfolio manager and empowerment zone director for the city of Yonkers, she oversaw federal funds for economic and community development. Lola has been recognized as a 40 under 40 rising star by the Business Council of Westchester. She now serves on the boards of Independent Living, Inc., Westchester Medical Center Foundation, and the Business Initiative Corporation of New York. An Albanian immigrant who came to the U.S. at 14, she built her career on resilience and determination, and today lives in Bedford, New York, with her husband and 3 children. Please welcome to the show, Lola Gazivoda. What's up, Lola?
Hey, guys. Thank you so much for having me on. How are you doing?
Awesome. Thank you.
Amazing. It's cool to have an actual local person for a change on the show, right? A lot of times we have people from Vegas and people from California, and it's great to have a homegrown, if you will. I know you're from, Albania, Montenegro,
Definitely
right?
homegrown. Yes.
Yeah, but yes. But definitely homegrown, and it's cool to and we're all local. I mean, I'm now in Connecticut, but same difference, right? We're all here in the New York general area. So excited to have you on the show here. So Lola, we're going to dive right into it. So, and I want to break out in a song, Lola, but I'm not going to do it. But I don't know a lot of Lolas, I'll be honest with you, but it's pretty cool. So let's talk about resilience. Obviously, we talked about it a little bit in the intro, in your bio that Rob, went through, right? Resilience is a big part of your life, and it's been a part of mine. So community, type in hashtag resilience, and glad to have you on here. By the way, if you're on here, we want to know about you. So go in the comments, make sure you're connecting with each other. Tell us the city, state, where you're from originally, or you are now actually. And this is the Master Connector Show. It's all about connection, and we want to hear from you. And we don't know if you're on watching the show unless you're in the comments. So just get in the comments. But anyway, so resilience. All right. What's the one moment in your life, Lola, where you had to bounce back from the major setback, and how did it shape you today?
Steve and Rob, thank you first of all for so much for having me on. So episode 225, right? That's pretty awesome. So thank you for having me. To be honest, when I think of just my life in general, resilience is, I feel like every 10 years or so, it seems to come up, and have had many kind of obstacles. So I was an immigrant. I came to this country when I was 14 years old. Actually did not know a word of English. And when you said, oh, I don't know many Lolas, as an immigrant, I kind of had to assimilate a little bit. So my real name is not Lola, but I remember first year of high school, one of the teachers could not pronounce my name. So I said, okay, let's make it easier for everyone, and kind of stuck to it, which is great. I absolutely love the name, but it shows that just simple things like that, we're trying to figure out ways to kind of assimilate or show that we can move forward into this wonderful, beautiful country that we live in. So came to United States, and also very traditional Albanian, and got married very young. I was 18 years old, actually, traditionally
Wow.
married. Had my older son at 20 years old, and I remember being pregnant with my daughter, walking graduation line, graduating from college. So
Wow.
I would say that's an interesting kind of
Yeah.
visual while working and so on. But one thing that I've definitely been taught throughout my whole life from very strong, wonderful parents is the meaning of hard work. So every time any setback that happens, I give myself about 48 hours to kind of, okay, Lola, what's happening? This is crazy. Whatever the situation is, give yourself 48 hours to kind of relax, and then figure out what are the next steps and plans and so on and so forth. So was in the corporate world for close to 20 years, and from there started my own business. And as a woman entrepreneur, that's an interesting situation as well. So I'll talk a little bit more about that as we continue chatting.
The resilience portion of what we're talking about here, Lola, I mean, now these are great things in life, right? Getting married, having a child, these are great things. But I have 4 kids, and I know that, look, it's a blessing for sure. But if you have lofty goals in life, they cost a lot of money, those little kids. They cost a lot of time, and they're a commitment that you can't really get out of, and they demand and distract from what you're doing. So it's pretty amazing that you were doing all this at the same time. And the resilience portion, it's funny because I'm watching the documentary on Billy Joel, and he was saying a lot of what he did was recovering from the beatdowns that he took early on. And he was talking with somebody who was very famous at the time, and he wasn't famous. They said it's all about the recovery. And so I found it interesting that you're talking about this amidst so many milestones compacted into just a couple of short years, right?
Yeah, I've learned that nothing is handed to you. And you just got to go out there and take it, whatever that is, right? Or work hard for it. And also at the same time, having those important pillars of what you stand for, right? In my case, it's family, religion, and then connections.
There you go. It's great. Yeah. And, I mean, I have a lot of respect for people that come over from another country. I mean, there's that feeling of they really appreciate what this country has, right? Because they came from places where maybe it wasn't as free. Now, granted, we have our challenges. I know it's not a perfect country. I believe you. I agree with you. That it's a wonderful country, but it's not perfect. Probably because there's people involved, and people are not perfect, right? But it's a great country, and interestingly enough, and I know a little bit about the Albanian culture because I have some friends that are Albanian. Grew up in the Bronx, so very strong Albanian population. But unfortunately, your heritage, right? There was a lot of persecution in the Albanian people with the Albanian people. So, but I appreciate the commitment to want to grow and succeed. And you said something before. I'll just say, there's a great book. I think it's Dr. Willie Jolie, which is every setback is a setup for a comeback, and one of my favorite books, and a great message. And it's great that you can kind of just restart. And so, community, I want to talk about restart. So type in hashtag restart. And here's the question for you, Lola. When starting over feels overwhelming, what's the very first step someone should take?
That's a great question. I can only speak from my perspective, right? So when it feels overwhelming, really writing down the thoughts of what should it look like in the next, few days, a few months. What is that vision, right? And writing it down helps a lot for my purposes, right? Also, at the same time, having around you people, or being able to ask people for advice, people you could trust, even if it's one person, the power of having two people kind of come together and figure out next steps, even if it's just support and saying, hey, everything is going to be okay. I think that's very, very powerful as well.
I love it. Yeah, it's great.
That power of restart, what you were saying about, and look, I got to tell you, so Lola, audience, Lola and I had a chance to talk a little bit before this show, and we had never met before. So there was a lot of similarities. And what I'm really seeing as similarities is part of that entrepreneurial journey that I think we all have to reconcile with. And it's something that we don't think about, but that power of vision of what you want. Right, Lola, because we were talking earlier and you were like, you know where you want to go, but going there is a big mess and it never works out according to plan. So you got to be flexible. But I remember after 25 years in corporate, and I was effectively restarting a new career because I was going to jump into my own business, which wasn't what I was doing during the day. I sat down. I went and got clients, right, because I wanted revenue fast. But then I was like, after that, what do I want my life to look like in 5 to 10 years with this business? Because otherwise, how do you know what you're working towards? And I found that to be the most critical part of getting started, was knowing where you want to end up, right? And so talk to us a little bit more about that part, because I think that people, they just meander and then they give up because they don't really know where they're going.
So when I left corporate after close to 20 years and doing pretty well, right? People thought I was out of my mind. They're like, how could you do that, right? To be honest, I always felt that my personality is not that safe, right? Meaning like, be safe, Lola, or just go, along the lines that were prescribed by somebody else. And because I knew that about myself, because I felt that I'm always an outlier personality type, the way I think about things, the way I'm creative and risk-taking and so on. But at the same time, very calculating around the risks that I take. I was like, you know what? I can't be a follower. I need to be a full-on leader where I'm in the driver's seat, making the decisions day in, day out. And if I get up today and I say, okay, you know what, I read about this way of doing business. It could be a new product, new way of service and so on. Let's implement it. Here's what we need to do and so on. That to me gives me so much happiness, being in that driver's seat. In addition, kind of managing my own time and doing my own thing and doing it from anywhere in the world, I would say that can't be bought at all.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, before you were talking a little bit about having a support team, right? Support system and having people in your corner. And I think that really helps as you're kind of blazing a trail, you're leading, but when you have other people around you, and Rob and I belong to some networking groups, having that, I have a mentor in my life. I have a group of entrepreneurs that I surround myself with that are like-minded. I think that's so important. So I want to talk about, that kind of that sense of belonging, right? And, when you're part of something, so community, type in hashtag belonging, how can people claim their seat at the table when they feel underestimated or overlooked?
It's an interesting, because I think it differs from, if you're in the corporate world, or if you're working for yourself, or if you're in the, personal world and so on.
Sure.
I would say that, the same thing that I said earlier, nothing is handed to you. So you got to either work for it or ask for it, or really be very straightforward. Okay, here's the vision, here's what I'm working on, here's how I could help, and so on and so forth. But having those cheerleaders around you is very important, because you want to have people around you who believe in what you're talking about, and not just, oh, Lola is saying this and this and this. It's people around you who understand where I'm coming from, what I've done in the past, and what I could deliver. So the cheerleaders go a long way, along with taking the seat, not necessarily somebody giving it to you.
And I think speaking your mind, right? I know, Rob tells a story about how he made a decision at any time there's a group of people to just speak up and not be, when there's an opportunity to say something. I think it's your voice, and I think that shows you. And I think having maybe, something on, like this, where you become a thought leader, your voice, I think, showing people that, hey, I count, I matter, right? And for a long time, I was so quiet because I didn't think I had any value. But now my belief is, when I enter a room, I believe the room is better because I'm there. And I know that sounds very, maybe to some, egotistical, but I feel there's value. And I think that is what also shows you that you're worthy of the seat at the table, so to speak, as you're speaking up. But I want to talk about voice a little bit. So community, type in hashtag voice. So what roles does sharing your story play in breaking barriers and opening doors for others?
So like you originally talked about my background. So what my firm does is outsourcing, right?
Mm,
So mm, all of the folks that work for my company are located in Albania, Montenegro, and Kosovo. So they're all Albanian heritage. And what I've done there is being able to hire folks with higher pay than the typical company that is hiring there. So that's my way of being able to give some voice and elevating the way of living for these folks, while also providing really good services to our clients. It, every time I'm a big component like around the women voice. So I've created an organization here locally. It's Albanian American Professional Women's Network. And having that voice and the confidence and the ability to take risks and so on is at the forefront every time that we hold events and networking and so on and so forth. But I think it's a work in progress. Nothing is perfect, right? So as we continue to grow in careers or whatever it is that we do, to be able to pass that on, that voice on to other people, I think that's our way of giving back.
Yeah, I think that's what you're talking about is giving people that voice. Well, you've provided a platform, Lola, right, for Albanian people to get work and to be heard and to, provide. And I think what people need to understand is they need to find a platform that allows them that voice, but it's only the opportunity to voice yourself. Because, like in Steve's example, I was brand new to the business ownership world in terms of networking. So when I walked into a room, there was 30 people who had been doing business with one another for many years. And what I did understand, and at the beginning of the show, I talked about, I'm a former shy guy. I'm still an introvert. It still is work for me to talk. And I knew that if I was to be taken seriously and I wanted to get clients, people need to know how I think, because we're all, the three of us are in the tri-state area, the Northeast, where there's huge competition for everything anybody's doing. And if you don't show people that you've got a solid thought process and philosophy and can think the solution to their problem, then they won't hire you, because they won't even think about it, because they can turn to their left or the right and hire somebody who does the same thing. So that's why I was like, I just need to talk. So yes, get the platform, but people wait. Let's see, this was I learned in that room, Lola. People waited to be called upon. So they would provide a topic and they'd be like, who has anything to say? And like 2 seconds went by and nobody would say anything. So I waited maybe a second and a half. My hand would shoot up. And I didn't know what I was going to say, but something came out, and then I connected the thoughts. And so you have to take that microphone, figuratively speaking, audience, and speak. So
Right.
people know you're not stupid.
If I could add one more piece to that, is you're speaking, right? You're taking the microphone, you're taking the seat, and you're talking about whatever the topic is, right? Whatever you're trying to portray out there. The next step is making sure you're delivering on exactly what you're talking about.
Sure.
Right. So I think that's the piece that a lot of people maybe miss. Not a lot of people, that's too harsh, but I think the folks who are the outliers are the ones who are able to take that seat and take the microphone, but then they also deliver on exactly what they say. And I think that goes a long way.
Well said. Well said. It's interesting. And, Rob said that when he spoke up, he didn't even know what he was going to say. So, but it came to him. Right. And so, a big part of what I love about live broadcast is, it's not scripted. I mean, whatever, we got to roll with the punches. And sometimes we have technology issues. It's not really unscripted. So community, type in hashtag unscripted. So here's the question. What did leaving a steady job to pursue your own path teach you about redefining success?
It was scary as hell. It was very, very scary. But now, so I started the business before I even left corporate. So again, back to that very calculated risk.
Sure.
But the first few months, even almost a year, it was very scary because now you're really depending on everything that you can achieve or do, right, as an individual.
Sure.
But now it's almost 2 years, and I wouldn't change it for the world. It was the best thing I've ever done for myself. I had a friend of mine who's at is at a board of a very good bank, and she's like, Lola, would you come back to banking? And I said, absolutely not. What did I learn is the fact that if you just continue to do what you're thinking about, what that vision is, just consistently continue to do it, it will pay off. Just have patience.
Have patience. That's great. So I want to slip in one more question, and maybe you kind of answered it just now. I'm not sure, but I want to talk about courage, because there's a lot of people out there, unfortunately, that some of them live in fear, or they're fearful. There's doubts, and you've had a lot of courage, especially more recently in your life, and I respect that. And even going to college, being pregnant. I mean, I talk about courage, right? Like, but so community, type in hashtag courage. And here's the last question as we bring it home. Lola, what advice would you give to somebody who's afraid to take the leap into a new chapter of their life?
So I feel like my whole theme of my life has been courage or resilience, like I started originally, right? So for me, I grew up in a communist country where literally there was no drinking water, and we're talking about staying in line for bread, right? So I feel like if you have nothing, then what else you could do, right?
Sure.
But it starts internally. It starts with having confidence in what your abilities are. If you start with that and then write it down, and what does that look like, right? Vision-wise, and then get a couple of people to buy into it and consistently continue on that same pace, then I think courage will come, even if you have to fake it as you come along with it.
Fake it until you make it. And
exactly.
Yeah, courage, to me, it's if you just decide you're not going to quit, you're going to win. I believe that with every fiber of my body. Well, good stuff. Well, this is amazing. Obviously, we're at the bottom of the hour, so this can go on and on, but we have to just close it down. But I know you have some offer for the community. Would you mind sharing, what you'd like to offer our community, please?
Yeah, please, of course. Thank you. I appreciate you allowing this. So we do outsourcing, right? So if you're a business owner in the tri-state area or anywhere in the United States for that matter, and you're looking to minimize your payroll costs, specifically around accounting and customer service and admin support, we'd love to talk to you. So by all means, and we'll be able to give you a discount around the payroll piece as well. So reach out to me. I know you guys are going to share my email address. I'd love to talk to you.
Yep, definitely. And make sure to connect with Lola for sure. It's a 45-minute consult that she's offering for free. complimentary, right? Nothing's free, right? Complimentary. So what's the best way, other than the email that you gave us to post, what's the best way that you'd like our community to reach out to you?
So I'm on LinkedIn, and I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. So Lola Gazivoda on LinkedIn, and then our website, botaconsultinggroup.com.
Love it. Well, we appreciate you big time. Thank you for being a beacon of light to our community and being vulnerable and sharing your story. So appreciate you. We're going to have you go in the green room. We'll say goodbye to you in a minute here. So thank you again, Lauren.
Thanks.
Appreciate you. All right. Well, that's awesome. Good stuff. Hey, listen, community, every week we bring somebody amazing. This next week, we're going to be episode 226, August 27th, same bat time, same bat channel, with Heather Godoska. I'm butchering that, but are you a star player of your life? It's gonna be a great show, so don't miss it. And then, every week, if you want to look at some of the up and coming episodes, Rob G does a great job of keeping our website up and current, coming. We're booked all the way out into 2026. But go to masterconnector.show, and if you're interested in learning how to sponsor an episode like our friend Russ Hedge has, go to masterconnector.show. But I want to finish up with a quick story. Vera Wang dreamed of skating her way into the Olympics, but when that path closed, she embarrassed starting fresh by pivoting into fashion. She embraced starting fresh by pivoting into fashion, right? And was hired at Vogue just 1 year after college. Undeterred by not becoming editor-in-chief, she left Vogue to design accessories for Ralph Lauren. And at 40 years old, took the leap toward launching her own bridal boutique, a move that would make her a global fashion icon. Vera's story, shows that when you rediscover your passion and dare to begin again, the next chapter can become your most iconic one. Folks, let's not allow those setbacks in life to be or in business to stop us. Let's keep moving forward, remembering that your story, your journey, your challenges can be an inspiration to others and ultimately be a light to many. God bless. We'll see you next week.
And you start to hear some of their challenges, and yes,
because it speaks to the core of who you are and what drives you forward. Because what makes you different is what drives you.